Hello YouTube, Kaigenix here. Thanks for joining me on today's Pokemon challenge. Now, if you haven't done already, go and check out the origin story for my grass baby videos. You don't want to miss out on any of the action, so without further ado, let's find out if I can beat the true champions of Kanto, Johto and Hoenn with only my teams of grass babies. Now this challenge is gonna be hard. So I've been working on my Grass Baby mini challenge series for well over a month now. It's been filled with blood, sweat and tears, and now I'm proud to give you guys the grand finale. So I hope you enjoy this action-packed episode. Right, rules are only Grass Babies in battle, no items in battle, H in Pokemon were allowed but not in any of the battles, and no hold items. I'm also going to attempt this without any level 100. So before you can get to the Kanto's true champion, you need to catch 60 Pokemon, find the Sapphire and Ruby, train the team up, and then try and beat the Elite Four. Let's see how this goes. After some intense training in preparation for the Elite Four and re-evaluation over the stats and moves, Baby Bulb now having Body Slam, Baby Sect now having Aerial Ace, Baby Trapped now having Sludge Bomb, and Baby Poach now having Psychic. Everyone's been trained up to level 80, but Baby Tang, as it's a bit stronger than the other grass type babies, so I like to give it a small handicap. So our first opponent is going to be Lorelei, and she brings out her Dugong. Now the issue with Lorelei is she knows Ice Beam, and that is super effective against grass types. So although I did try a few different methods, the strategy I've gone for now is stunning it with Baby Tang and then lowering its defense, hopefully being able to get at least one move in. As she hits us with an Ice Beam, this is the reason why it had to be level 72. Level 70, it was just getting taken out by one Ice Beam. So we then move on to Baby Trapped to use a Razor Leaf to finish the Dugong off. And then the strategy we're going to have to go for is an evasiveness one. So we use Baby Bulb with Leech Seed to heal up over time, and then we're going to use Double Team to raise the evasiveness up. Now I did find that the Ice Beam that the Cloyster and the Slowbro did was slightly weaker than the one with Dugong, maybe something to do with the special attack, I don't know. But anyway, so as we're raising our defense, and luckily the Ice Beam's missing, we managed to get quite a few of the double teams in before it hits us with an Ice Beam which freezes us, and luckily we did get around about 4 double teams in. So even though we're frozen, we still have good evasiveness, and with Leech Seed doing its thing and her being close to using a full restore, we get a free life with the Leech Seed healing us up twice. The Rain Dance is keeping us frozen for longer, but eventually we get out, and then we hit a Giga Drain to finish the Cloyster off with one shot. Now onto the Lapras, where the rain has stopped. We hit with a Body Slam. We were hoping for a Paralyze, but we get hit by an Ice Beam. Luckily we were strong enough, had enough HP to tank that one. Could have been over there, but anyway, we hit a Giga Drain that takes out the Lapras and heals us up to almost full health. The Pizlawine comes out, which we go for a Body Slam, but we get hit with Blizzard, which seems to be weaker than Ice Beam for some reason. I'm not sure why, it just was. It's probably something to do with its special attack again. Jinx comes out, which we hit with a Body Slam, which paralyzes, and then we use a Giga Drain to nearly finish her off as she misses with Ice Beam, but uses a full restore. So we go now for a couple of Body Slams as she misses with Psychic, and that will be the end of Lorelei. So we're now heading over to Bruno, that's replaced some of his rock types with steel types, so I'm glad that I'm not using a Zubat. So we go for Baby Sect with a Stun Spore as we try and use a Giga Drain to see how much damage that would do. Not that much. He hits us with a Rock Tomb, which lowers our speed, and we go for another Spore. We're then going to go for a Dig, as I think that is more effective as he wakes up. Dig hits and it's a little bit more effective, but still not that required. So we go for a third Spore, as for some reason this Steelix keeps waking up. So we go for a Giga Drain to recharge some health, and then a second Giga Drain to finish off his first Steelix. We're now going to switch out to Baby Trapped as he brings out his Hitmonchamp. We then go for a Secret Power to do okay damage, and then a Razor Leaf to do a little bit more damage, and then a final Razor Leaf to finish it off, only with 35 HP left. So we're going to switch out now for Baby Poach, as we're trying to get more of the team involved because it was mainly down to Baby Bulb in the first fight. We use Psychic to finish off his Hitmonlee. We're now going to keep out the Baby Poach, as I wanted to see how much damage Explosion would do. Not very much whatsoever. So we then go for a Stun Spore with Baby Tang, and then we're going to use a Tickle as we want to lower his defense down. I probably could have done this first and then gone to the Baby Poach to use Explosion, which would have been more effective, but I wanted to see from scratch how much the Explosion would do, just in case I didn't get through this fight and needed to, redo it. So as it heals up with super full restore, or whatever that you want to say, I use a stun spore to paralyze it. He hits us with crunch for super effective, accidentally use a second stun spore, luckily we didn't die, and then we use a tickle. He uses earthquake to finish off Baby Tang. A few mistakes were made there, but luckily it's not going to be too much of an issue as we bring out Baby Trap to do heavy damage, and then we're going to finish him off with a Giga Drain. And I think he's now down to his final Pokemon, which is a Machamp. So we go for Spore, luckily we outspeed him, and then we've got Aerial Ace, which on the training in the fight is on Route 1 or Island 1. I know that Aerial Ace is super effective. So we go for another Store, hit with a Giga Drain, and he's now in arm's length of one more Aerial Ace to finish him off. And that's the end of Bruno. Now on to Agatha. Oh my god, Agatha. Hours and hours spent trying to find out the best possible way. I even used the 6 rare candies I had to train up Baby Poached and Baby Tang up 3 levels. So basically what I've gone for is Baby Tang stunning and then Baby Poach finishing off the first Gengar. That is the least of the issues. I didn't know how to take the next Pokemon out best effectively. So we've gone for another Stun Spore and we're switching out again for Baby Poach. This seemed to be a sound strategy, but sometimes they would use Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball does super effective damage to Baby Poached. So as we've got our Leech Seed in, we're now going to go for Baby Sect. So Baby Sect can now heal up a bit and we use Aerial Ace. To find out Aerial Ace was actually effective on this Pokemon. So we take down his second Pokemon now, and this is where things could go wrong, because his Arbok has Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Bomb is super effective being poison, as well as also Shadow Ball, Psychic, Confuse Ray and Hypnosis being a problem with Agatha. It was quite hard to find what was going to be the best strategy, so I go for a couple of Sludge Bombs, but eventually get taken out with Sludge Bomb to whittle the combined health down. Then an Aerial Ace, luckily being a critical to finish off the Arbok, but we still have other problems, as I believe she has a Crobat. So we go for a Stun Spore, which we actually managed to hit on the Gengar. That doesn't always work, so this was very lucky. He then finishes off Baby Sect with one Sludge Bomb, and we move over to Baby Bulb to get our Leech Seed in. It hits us with heavy damage for Psychic, as Leech Seed heals us up a little bit. We then go for a Giga Drain, as we just want to whittle some health down. Luckily it was a critical, but he finishes off with another Psychic. Gengar being in one arm's length of a final attack, but a full restore is used, which is annoying, but we hit with one Psychic and then Leech Seed doing its thing, and we go for another Psychic as another full restore is used, as we're just hoping for a critical now, but we get down to almost Leech Seed finishing off. Sludge Bomb hits us, luckily we didn't get poisoned, and a final Psychic takes her Gengar down. Now for her Crobat, which could do so much damage to us, but luckily we had enough HP left to use Explosion and finish Agatha off. Just check there to make sure that it wasn't actually the HM Fly that did it. Many hours later, we now move on to Lance. Now Lance had his very own problems, but nothing compared to Agatha. But anyway, I wasn't sure the best strategy to take his Gyarados down, so I'm going to go for a Leech Seed and a few Psychics, as I couldn't go for the evasiveness strategy, as his Aerodactyl knows Aerial Ace, but hits heavy damage, so it was a little bit pointless, and I had to go for a slightly different strategy. So we now take down his Gyarados eventually after it heals up with a full restore with a few Psychics, hoping that the Psychic would have lowered his special defense as well, but as he gets some Dragon Dances off. Luckily they like to do Dragon Dance, which is only a problem if they manage to hit us with one move. His Kingdra then coming out, which is why we need the explosion of the Execute. So that takes his Kingdra down. That's 2 of his Pokemon down now, 3 left. His Aerodactyl comes down, so the strategy we have to go for is the Stun Spore and lowering his Aerial Ace. Because his Aerial Ace damage is super effective against the grass types, it's very important that we lower his attack and his defense as much as possible, and luckily he gets paralyzed as well, so we're managing to get more tickles in here, leaving us with 2 HP. I think we get around about 4 to 5 tickles in. He then uses a Ancient Power, which fails, but we managed to get our Leech Seed in with Baby Bulb, which is kind of the setup we're going for now. And we can now go for the evasiveness strategy, as without what we did to his Aerial Ace, he would hit far too much damage. He still hits quite heavy, but luckily Leech Seed heals us up around about the same amount as he's doing damage to. Also, it doesn't matter how many double teams I use, the Aerial Ace, when he gets successful, will hit me as it's unevadable, which is another reason why I had to lower down his attack. So eventually, once we get our max evasiveness up, we're going to go for a Giga Drain to go for some of our lost health back. And now this is why we needed to do the evasiveness, because his Dragonites know Flamethrower as well as Ice Beam. I believe they're quite formidable. So we're going for the body slams as we want to be able to get the paralyze. Luckily I tanked one flamethrower, not exactly sure why, maybe because his special attack is lower than a Charizard's or something like that, not sure. But anyway, we get the paralyze in after he full restored up, and Leech Seed doing its thing, we eventually body slam our way down on his weaker Dragonite. Now for his final Pokemon and his strongest Dragonite, he misses with Hyper Beam, we get our Leech Seed in. So it's a good base now, even if our Baby Bull goes down. He also gets paralyzed, so we have to be watching the health carefully as we don't want him to have a super full restore. So we go for another body slam and the Leech Seed finishes him off, and that was the end of Lance. Only a few attempts on that one. Now on to the main event in this region, Blue, aka Greenie. As he's about to take us out with Fire Blast, we're going to have to think of a completely new strategy. So the issues we have here is obviously his Charizard outspeeds us all the time. Also, he knows Aerial Ace with his Tyranitar, and his Heracross knows Mega Horn, which can take our Pokemon out. So these are just a few of the issues that I was facing. Obviously, I don't know the other Pokemon and what issues they were going to do at this point in time. So we go for a Stun Spore on his Heracross, as we're going to lower down his speed and trap him. We then have to lower down his attack and his defense. Hopefully 4 stages, so we can take him out with one double edge. If it doesn't 4 stages, it might not take him out, and it has to be taken out with Baby Tang, so he switches to his Tyranitar. If these things don't happen, then it's the end of the run, because I don't have the Pokemon left that I need for later on. So he lowers our speed down, which isn't too much of an issue, and once we've lowered his stages down enough, we go for our double edge and we take down his Heracross. He's now going to bring out his Tyranitar. So we're going to switch over to Baby Bulb because it has higher special attack than some of the others. So we're going to go for a Leech Seed, which we miss unfortunately, but he hits him with an Aerial Ace, and we go for a Giga Drain now, as I also know we outspeed it. And luckily we get a critical finishing off his Tyranitar. That was probably the easiest, it went down. So we're going to go for the only thing that can combat that, which is Baby Poach, being part Psychic. We have to take him down, as we still need Baby Poach as well for the next part of the strategy. He hits us heavy with Psychic, so we go for Leech Seed, which will heal us up a little bit at a time, as Sunstorm's doing its thing to both of us. Leech Seed heals us up a little bit, and we now go for Strength, as he goes for a Calm Mind. Isn't too much of an issue, but if he does use another Psychic, it's going to hit us for more heavy damage. Leech Seed lowering him enough so he uses a full restore. So we get to use his Strength as Leech Seed heals us up, which is good because we need a little bit of health as well, as Sunstorm's whittling us both down. He hits us with a Psychic, nearly finishing us off, as we do some great damage with Strength. Then the Sandstorm finishes him off, but it leaves us with 16 HP. Now this is where we need a lot of luck. This is where the strategy would fail multiple times, as his Fire Blast would hit us. On this occasion, we get the Stun Spore that we need. Also added a Tickle in just because we want to lower that down, and we're getting very lucky with him missing with his Fire Blast, as a lot of times his Fire Blast will be very accurate. He then eventually takes us down with Baby Tang, and now hopefully we have enough health to survive the Sandstorm, which we are left with 3 HP. And we now exceed the speed for Charizard, and we get to use our Explosion, which takes down the main threat. He's only got 2 Pokemon left, which I haven't faced yet, so I wasn't sure how to deal with them. So we go for a Body Slam as he hits us with Psychic, which finishes off Baby Bulb. I was thinking here I could potentially mess up, so I went for Baby Trap, hoping we would outspeed it with Sludge Bomb, which we did, which finishes him off. He's now down to his final Pokemon, Gyarados. So I'm going for Baby Sect, as I'm hoping I can tank at least one of whatever move he's got and get a Stun Spore in. Sandstorm will whittle both of our health down. Luckily he uses Dragon Dance as we get a Spore in to make him asleep. We then go for an Aerial Ace, as we just want to whittle his health down as much as we can, as I'm hoping our Baby Trap will outspeed him as well. Luckily he's staying asleep. He could quite have easily have woken up, but we get to whittle his health down a little bit, but I don't want to whittle it down too much, as I don't want him to use a full restore. So he wakes up now and uses Hyper Beam. Out of all the moves he could have used, he uses a move that benefits us because we get a free hit. But now is there enough life left? And I thought he was going to use a full restore, and he didn't, and Sludge Bomb takes him down. That is the end of the champion of this region. We have completed what I didn't complete in the Grass Baby Challenge video of Leaf Green, so I'm happy with that. I would say that, just an honourable mention, Agatha was probably about the same strength as the champion, so I'm going to let you know that. And here's the team getting into the Hall of Fame, and HM sneaking in. Alright. Now we head over to Johto, but before we can find the true champion of Johto, we have to beat the Elite Four. head to Kanto, gain 8 more badges, train up the team and find Red. So let's see how this part goes. Also, it's the same rules as before that apply. Right, so our first opponent is going to be Sabrina. I've included these gym battles as because of our team not actually being that leveled up after defeating the Elite Four. Also, I want to get a little bit more use out of Baby Sun, as if you have seen it, you would know that I didn't really use it that effectively. So, Baby Rita taking out the Espeon with a couple of body slams, we're now going to move over to Baby Sun. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go for a growth, as we want to raise up our special attack. Then we go for another growth, and then we're ready to use a Giga Drain. That hits some heavy damage on this Mr. Mime. Then Psychic is used, which does heavy damage on us. We use another Giga Drain that takes Mr. Mime down. Now we're going to switch over to Baby Hoppy, as we want to get a bit use out of all the team. So we go for Swagger as it hits itself, so it's looking good. We go for a Stun Spore, but we miss. A Psychic is then used that hits heavy damage on us as a critical. We finally get our Stun Spore on, but then a second Psychic hits us and takes down Baby Hoppy. Now we bring out Baby Sun, which we use an Attract for, hoping that Baby Sun can do the rest. So it gets confused and hits itself, and then a Psychic's used to take down Baby Sun. So it's down to Baby Rita. So Light Screen is used as they use Reflect. Body Slam hits some good damage, a Psychic then hits us. Luckily, the special defense there is working for our favour. There, a couple of body slams now, and another Psychic's used, and finally a final body slam takes Sabrina down. So we then head over to fight Jasmine in Fuchsia City. She brings out her Crobat where we have Baby Rita. I did try this with Baby Sun, but the wing attack was too effective, so Baby Rita's on board. We take Crobat down, and then it's the Weezing. So I'm going to use Baby Rita for this as well, because they hit heavy damage with Sludge. And she has another Weezing, unfortunately, so it's still Baby Rita that's going to do the main damage. That's now the second Weezing down. So we can now finally switch over to Baby Sun as she brings out her Arachnus. We go for an Attract as they then keep in love with us. We then go for Growth as we still are in love with us. We keep going for Growth as we want to bump up as much as a Nightshade is used. Luckily, Nightshade's only going to do 33 damage. So we managed to get multiple growths in as another Nightshade's used. We're now ready to use Hidden Power that takes down her Arachnus. Now she's going to bring out her Venomoth, which we go for another Hidden Power because we outspeed it. Nearly takes it out, a double team's used, but a final Hidden Power finishes off Venomoth. So we can now move on to Erica, which she has her grass types. She brings out a Tangela, we bring out Baby Hoppy because Baby Hoppy wasn't used in the last battle. Go for a Swagger, which she then gets a Giga Drain on, but does very little damage. We then get a Headbutt, which doesn't flinch it, but it does hit itself. Another Headbutt, which makes her flinch, and then a last Headbutt takes down a Baby Tangela. Now for Victory Bell, which I thought maybe Baby Sun could take the Victory Bell down because it did take the earlier on Victory Bell of one of her cronies, but we'll see what happens here. So I go for a Growth and a Hidden Power that does really good damage. Acid had hit on us, which I think maybe one more Acid will take us out. So we almost finish her off, but we go here to go for another Hidden Power, but she heals up with Hyper Potion. So we get our 2 Hidden Powers in, but it just wasn't enough, and she finishes off Baby Sun with an Acid. Very close there. We then get a Body Slam in with Baby Rita to finish off the Victory Bell. But Blossom comes out and we go for a Body Slam. Sunny Day's used, we go for a second Body Slam, and that finishes her off. Now for a Jump Pluff or something, we bring out Baby Hoppy to switch up the team a bit, use a Headbutt, which is heavy damage, Cotton Spores used, Giga Drain's used because we lowered our speed. We go for a Headbutt, and that ends Erica and the third badge in the region. Now on to Misty after we disturb the date, and it's going to be, hopefully, Baby Sun can take this out. So we go for a Giga Drain to see how much damage that does. Giga Drain takes down a Gold Duck in one, so this is looking good. Lapras comes out, we go for a Giga Drain, but it doesn't quite take it out. So she uses Perish's Song, which is, we've got 3 lives or 3 turns before we're going to go down. So we take down her Lapras. She now brings out her Starmie, which she hits us with an Ice Beam to do very heavy damage. We go for a Giga Drain to heal some of that health up. She then goes for a Recover to heal some of her life up, but Giga Drain's too powerful and it finishes off her Starmie. But unfortunately, we're going to die soon as Perishing Song is going to do its thing. So that's the end of Baby Sun. Go out to Baby Hoppy to use Leech Seed as she uses Amnesia. Leech Seed heals us up a bit. We miss with Swagger, Rain Dance is used. Swagger eventually gets in and then it uses Surf, which isn't very effective at all. Leech Seed's still doing its thing, so we're just going to go for some headbutts now. It flinches and then a second headbutt, and that is now the end of Misty. Finally on to Lieutenant Surge. Because of my Zubat challenge, I basically had a little bit of an issue with electric steel type, so it made me a little bit annoyed with having to fight him. Baby Sun comes out, which we unfortunately get paralysed for, but we're going for our growths anyway. as we want to be able to do more damage. It hits us with a couple of thunders. Luckily it's not very effective, as we managed to get all of our growths that we need in. We're now going to go for a Giga Drain to heal up some of our last life, and it takes down the Raichu with 1, obviously because we've bumped up about 6 times. Electrode comes out, it uses Double Team, we managed to get a Giga Drain in, which takes that down in 1. I don't really know what I was worrying about, but you know, it was just for the plain fact that the Zubat challenge was very annoying on these types of Pokemon, so I guess it left a little bit of a scar for me. So Electrode comes out and we're getting paralyzed, but really they're not doing that much damage to us, so we're just using the Giga Drain. So here, Baby Sun really doing some good damage and actually getting some good use out of it. Electabuzz comes out to hit us with Thunder. We go for a Hidden Power to nearly finish it off, heals with a Hyper Potion. So we go for another Hidden Power, Thunder's used, and then eventually we get a last Hidden Power in down the Electabuzz. We then head over to Mount Moon to find our rival up to no good, so we challenge him. He brings out his Sneevil as we bring out Baby Hoppy. Headbutt's used for some heavy damage, as a Screech and Quick Attack does little to us. A second Headbutt takes it down. Now for his Golbat, as we bring out Baby Rita, we're going to go for a Body Slam for some heavy damage. It also paralyzes it. A Wing Attack's used, and we use Light Screen in preparation for his Typhlosion. A second Body Slam is used to take down the Golbat. Now for his Typhlosion that pops out. We're going to go for a Body Slam and it gets a Paralyzed. Luckily he does nothing as we take him down and gain to level 69. So we're then going to bring out Baby Sun for his Magneton. So we go for a Giga Drain to do some alright damage as a Thunder Wave paralyzes us. A Sonic Boom is hit as we use a Growth. We then go for a second Giga Drain to take his Magneton down, gaining to level 69. So we then come out with his Gengar as we switch over to Baby Hoppy to use Leech Seed and a Swagger as the Curse is used. So we go for Swagger now as Curse does a bit of damage to us and he hits himself with Confusion, and then Leech Seed finishes him off. Then for its Alakazam, which comes out, which we go for a Headbutt to do heavy damage as Curse does its thing. Psychic is used, but we're left with a little bit of health, and then finally we gain our third 69.
Oh baby, a triple!
So, seeming it was Monday night when I was recording this, I decided to go and fight our rival again at the Elite Four because it was around 11:30 and I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough time to fight the rest of the gyms and then fight the battle. So Sneevil goes down again with 2 headbutts. Crobat comes out now, so it's Baby Rita. Body Slam's used, paralyzed again. Toxic hits us for Poisonous. We go for a second Body Slam that's I think a critical, which takes it out. Now for Typhlosion, which we don't actually have a light screen up for, but luckily we outspeed it. A Fire Blast is used to hit heavy damage on us as we go for a Body Slam, which paralyzes him. He then hits us with a second Fire Blast, which nearly takes us out, but we finish him off with a... Ooh, we don't actually finish him off. We get taken out, so Baby Sun comes out and finishes it off with a Hidden Power. So, now for Magneton, luckily Baby Sun's already out. We go for a Growth as Thunder Wave's used. Light Screen wears off and Thunder hits us for some okay damage. We try and get a few more Growths in, as we know that the Giga Drain before wasn't enough, but as our health is too low, we go for a Giga Drain. We go for a second Giga Drain as we get paralyzed, as we don't want to get taken out. His Magneton almost down now, we go for a Hidden Power, which we can't get in, but eventually we do, and that takes his Magneton down. So he's only got 2 Pokemon left now, so we're going to switch over to Baby Hoppy again as he brings out his Gengar. A Leech Seed's used as it hits himself with Curse. Leech Seed doing its thing, we're going to go for Swagger, hopefully he hits himself and takes himself out. Curse does its thing as he gets confused around us, unfortunately, but Leech Seed's healing us up, but the Curse does too much damage. So we switch out for Baby Sun as we were hoping he would hit himself, but he takes us out with a Shadow Ball. So we go for a Stun Spore as he hits himself to finally take himself down. So Alakazam now, which we're going to use a Headbutt for, which does heavy damage. It then flinches and a second Headbutt takes our rival down and he's out for the count. So we're going to move on to now, probably the easiest battle is going to be Brock, only because he's got full rock types, so we're going to get some good XP here for Baby Sun. Basically, as you can tell, Giga Drain is going to take out all his Pokemon in one, especially with his Kabutos and Amistar having double weakness to grass type. So here it is coming out, another Giga Drain. Not too much to say, but we are getting in preparation for our final hard battles, which is going to be Blaine as his fire types. The rival Blue, again, he's going to be quite hard, and then on to Red. If we can get to Red, we'll find out, won't we? So we defeat Brock very easily. Now onto Blaine. So he brings out his Pokemon, which we go for a light screen. He uses Curse. You know, I'm not sure what other moves he's got, but I'm sure if he didn't just keep using Curse and used fire moves, he would hit heavier damage on us. But we paralyze him with Body Slam, which is doing very effective damage. We get a critical as he finally hits us with a Flamethrower, which doesn't do that much because of light screen, and we take it down. Now for his Magmar, which we're going to switch over to Baby Hoppy, as we're going to go for a Headbutt to do some great damage. Fire Punch is used for heavy damage, but a second Headbutt takes his Magmar out. Now for his Rapidash, which we go for Baby Sun, because I think, hey, why not, let's give it a go. He misses with Fire Blast as we get an Attract on. We go for an Growth as he keeps in love with us. Again, he uses Fury Attack, not a fire move luckily, as we get a second Growth in. So we're going to go for a Hidden Power now to see how much damage that does. Does alright. Maybe I should have gone for another Growth here, but we go for another Hidden Power as he heals up with a Max Potion, which probably would have been a good time to use Growth, but I go for another Hidden Power as he misses with a Fire Blast. One more Hidden Power, but he finally hits us with the Fire Blast that takes Baby Sun down. He nearly did it, but that's probably because I didn't use him that effectively. One more Headbutt takes down his Rapidash. Also, I've included this battle in because I just found it, and it was quite random that you can actually fight once a day this trainer that has the 3 starters at them maxed evolves. So we go for Baby Hoppy to go for a Swagger. He hits himself. A Headbutt is used to do some good damage as he hits himself again. A final Headbutt takes him down. Now we're going to switch over to Baby Rita, as that's the only one that can take down the Typhlosion. We go for Light Screen to block against his Fire Wheel. And then we go for Body Slam, but he gets a critical, which is very heavy damage. We use Body Slam that does good damage. The second Fire Wheel is used, which doesn't take us out. A critical would have, but we take him out with a critical. Now for his Feraligatr, which Baby Sun's going to come out, because we're going to spread the EXP equally, obviously. We use Attract as he keeps in love with us. We go for a Growth, and then he hits us with Slash. We go for a second Growth, and then the Slash is used again. A third Growth as he keeps in love. Another Giga Drain will take his Feraligatr down. So all the gym battles being a little more interesting than usual, so we now head on to the former champion Blue, which actually provided us with many more problems at level 70. So I trained up a little bit to be able to tank a few of his attacks. So it's down to Baby Hoppy to take down his Pidgeot, hopefully taking no damage, which we eventually do. Now the main issue we were having was his Arcanine, which used to outspeed us, but now we outspeed it with Baby Rita. So we get our light screen in, which we can tank a couple of his flamethrowers, but his flamethrower could still do some heavy damage, and when our HP was low, instead of us getting an attack in, he would use extreme speed to take us down, which was a problem. But luckily in this case, he didn't use it. He was going for another flamethrower, maybe because it wasn't below 20 or something. So now for his Exetor, which we go for an Attract on Baby Sun, as he misses with Leech Seed. So we now want to bump up all of our growths as best as we can, which we get super lucky here, and he just keeps in love with us. I literally am just spamming, thinking to myself, how lucky am I getting? He goes for a Solar Beam as well, which, you know, is really ineffective against us as we get our maximum amount of Hidden Power boosts up. We use Hidden Power, which does very effective damage, and then he keeps in love with us as his Solar Beam is ineffective, and we take his Exetor down. Now for his Alakazam, which we don't outspeed, but luckily he uses Reflect. So we hit heavy damage with Hidden Power, so he uses Recover, but a second Hidden Power takes down his Alakazam, which I couldn't actually believe it was going to work like that. Now for his Gyarados, which he uses Rain Dance for, so we use Attract, as Attract seems to be working very well for us. He hits us with a Hydro Pump, which does okay damage, but a Giga Drain actually taking him out and gaining us back up to nearly full HP. Now for his final Pokemon, which happens to be a Rhydon, which is going to go down in one Giga Drain. Now this wasn't just as easy as it appeared, it actually took quite a long time to get this clip. So we trained the team up 2 levels to 77, I was actually going to go for 80, but I thought I would see how strong Red was actually going to be. So we go for the team of level 77, which I found out that 2 Razor Leaves take down his Pikachu. So I thought maybe I would actually possibly be able to do this with the team. I'll give it a good shot. He now brings out his Venusaur. Obviously the main issue we have with Red is his Charizard, so the way I come and combat his Charizard you'll have to find out. I couldn't just take down his Venusaur with Baby Hoppy, because as soon as we would get to his Charizard would outspeed us. Also, we don't want our Baby Rita to be dead by the time we get to his Charizard as well, which is very unlikely with the Pikachu and his switch out to Venusaur, but the Venusaur could do some heavy damage. So while he's paralysed, and confused, we switch over to Baby Rita. We get our light screen in, which is what we need against the Charizard, as it hits himself, and then a final body slam takes his Venusaur down. This was very lucky, as the Venusaur could do a bit more damage to us, but anyway, his Charizard then hits us with a flamethrower, nearly taking us out, but it's the light screen that saves us. We get a paralyze on, which is very lucky, and we go for another body slam that hits heavy damage, as he keeps paralyzed, which again, this was very lucky. There was multiple times he would get his other flamethrower on and take our Baby Rita down. Now for Espeon, which we use Baby Hoppy for. He uses Reflect as we want to get our Stun Spore in, because he can hit us with heavy damage with the Psychic, but luckily we get the Stun Spore on and we get the Swagger on, but he does unfortunately take Baby Hoppy down. So we now go for an Attract with Baby Sun, and we're going to go for the growths, which, can you believe it, so far we have got 3 in, we get 4 in. I could not believe the luck that I'm having. It's the exact same luck I was having with the Exetor. For some reason he just keeps falling in love with us, and we managed to get our maxed in, and when he does get a chance, he's got paralyzed. So we actually use our hidden power, which didn't do that much damage, and I wasn't sure whether we were going to be able to do it, but we do. He then hits us heavy with a Psychic, but it doesn't take us out. If it was a critical, it would have, but we take down his Espeon. And what's going to come out next is Snorlax, which I use an Attract for, hoping that it would fall in love, which he does. And we go for a Giga Drain, which seems to be very effective compared to Hidden Power. I did use a Hidden Power another term, and then he took us out with Body Slam. But Giga Drain heals us up very effectively. A second Giga Drain healing us up, and we get lucky again with him falling in love with us, and we finish off his Snorlax. And you know what's coming out now? His final Pokemon, which is Blastoise. He misses with a Blizzard. His only chance to take us out, he misses us. We use a Giga Drain, and we finish off his Blastoise with only level 77 Grass Babies. I really did not expect that from Red. So before we get into Hoenn's true champion, we have to beat the Elite Four, train like crazy, and then find Steven. Anyway, this is the final battle, so I'm ready. Let's bring it on. It's the same rules as before that applies, if you were wondering. And also, if you remember from the Pokemon Emerald Challenge about Cran, basically was great against the Elite Four, there's going to be no Baby Cran. So here we are now, the usual trading spot of just going back and forth through the routes, looking for people to battle. We do that till we get the team up to level 75. So you can see now that I've still got the same moves as I did before. I've not changed any of the moves up, but I've got the team up to 75. But Baby Corn's at 70 because I don't really know if he's going to be that effective against the types that Steven has. In fact, I'm going to struggle, I think, against Steven. But anyway, so we headed to Steven after we found him up the waterfall. He brings out his Skirmary, which, you know, eventually we find out how to beat a few of his Pokemon. But as soon as we got to his Metagross, he just smacked us down with all his moves at this current level, which, you know, in the end, obviously I just gave up, and then I went to use an explosion because I wanted to see how much damage it did. But anyway, that led us to having to train the team up more, as you see here on this screenshot. So I got all the team up to level 82, Baby Corn only 2 more levels to 72, and we're now ready to take him on again. Now this battle is one where you cannot make a single mistake. If you make a mistake, it's something you can't do. So his Skirmary still outspeeds us, and we go for a Stun Spore, or a Spore, sorry, to make him asleep. Then we go for Elite Seed, so that's the important part. We now have to switch out to Baby Lily, hoping that the Skirmary stays asleep. If it wakes up and does any moves or anything like that, that's the end of the run as well. So what we do now is we've done Rain Dance, as that allows us to attack first while Leech Seed is doing its thing. He uses a full restore, which is fine because we should get 2 Surfs in and 1 Leech Seed. So we get our double Surf in, which does really good damage as he uses Toxic, Leech Seed as well doing its thing to finish off his Skirmary. So that was the first issue. So we now have to move on to the second issue, which is Armaldo, which isn't too much of a problem as we found out that Baby Shroom outspeeds it. So we can get our Spore and we can get our Leech Seed in. So that's a good start already. We'll then use some Giga Drains as we're going to heal up Baby Shroom's HP. So also I thought to myself, other times I did switch out to different Pokemon to see if that was any worth effectiveness. But due to this run doing pretty well, I decided just to keep Baby Shroom out, and that managed to take it out by itself. Now for the next challenge, which is actually the easiest Pokemon that he has, is the Claydol. Only because it mainly uses Earthquake, and Earthquake doesn't do that much damage to us. So we're going to take it out now with Baby Cactus as we get lucky with the critical hit. Now for his problem, the Metagross. This is something that was major issues that I had, and I had to be very specific in what I did at this point. So as you saw there, I did a Leech Seed, and I'm going to whittle down as much health as I could before Baby Cactus gets taken out. Then we move to Baby Shroom, where with that leech seed it heals up enough to be able to tank one meteor mash. If this meteor mash did any raising of stats on the last one, we wouldn't have been able to do it, we would have died there at that point. And now it's down to baby corn. I have to be very careful with how much health I take, as I need to only take a certain amount so he does not heal up with a full restore, and we can get an explosion in. This was a very lucky clip that you saw right there, where the leech seed finishes off the Metagross. I was very happy with this, and now for the first time we've got to his Aragon. So we use a dynamic punch, which is only 50% accurate, that actually hits, which is amazing. He uses Earthquake, but then we use a Giga Drain that finishes him off. Now for his final Pokemon, which again, I've only just got to this, which another dynamic punch hits, which is amazing luck that I'm having at the moment. I missed with a Screech, which isn't too bad. The second Screech does, and then we're going to go for another dynamic punch, which I could not believe my luck. I took him down. This could have gone wrong in so many ways, but it went so right for me, and I'm grateful that it did, because it could have been a lot harder. So here, because I didn't actually get the stats before with the Pokemon, I'm just seeing it through now. So here are the honourable mentions of the battles that I found very difficult. Agatha from Leaf Green was an absolute pain, and Blue from Gold and Silver actually surprised me. Right, so for the actual rankings now, Red from Gold and Silver was the weakest. Blue from Leaf Green was second, and Steven at the end really was difficult. It took many hours to get that one clip that you saw there. So I hope you appreciate the effort that I put into. Anyway, I want to say a quick thank you for watching the video, thank you for your subscribing, and thank you for your likes, and thank you for all the comments that I've been getting as well. I really do appreciate it. Keep it coming, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!